Hello, my Bill 1000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. All right, we are back with the final in this little series. This is number 10 of the Lazy Masquerades 5 Creepy True USA horror stories. This one is Georgia, Arkansas, Nebraska, Delaware, North Dakota. I'm sad. I'm happy. Like, we're at the end. Like, I don't know. I'm happy we're at the end, but I'm also very sad that we're at the end because that means we gotta go to something different. But I already found a few things of Lazy Masquerade I'd like to do. So fingers crossed they're as good as this little series has been. I know it's not for everyone, but I really enjoy it, and yeah, it is what it is. All right, like I said, I'm excited. Let's go ahead and get into this story. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get spooky.
This is the final episode of my American road trip series, where I've been narrating one scary story from every US state. Make sure to check out all the other episodes after this. Thank you to everyone who emailed in their stories, and to all my supporters on Patreon for making this series possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the end of the road's finally in sight, so please, buckle up as we cross the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm excited because it's like we've been on this little journey. We're finally at the end of it. And it's like, yeah. But then it's like, oh, shit. This is the last one. Fuck. You know? Oh, God. Delaware. The Lady Killer.
This story takes place in Wilmington, Delaware. I'll start by saying I'm a female. At the time, I was 26 years old, and I lived by myself in a small house. My boyfriend had just dumped me, and left me stranded paying all the rent. As such, I had to moonlight at a bar a few nights a week just to pay the bills. The bar itself was pretty great, definitely a job worth doing while you're still young. Most of our customers were just friendly Wilmington people, but occasionally you get the odd creep or drunk ruffian. Drink can bring out the devil in some folks.
Yes.
There was this one customer who seemed to come in every time I had a shift.
It makes me ornery. Very ornery.
A man in his mid-40s, stood around 6'1", I'd say, went by the name of Dennis. He had a handsome face, but it was all wrinkled, and his obviously once athletic body was now a bit out of shape. He had a small beer belly and dark bags under his eyes. Drove an old, once white van, the colour of which had obviously faded over the years and turned cream. Always parked it right outside. I figured I knew this guy's story pretty well. Probably a bit of a lady killer back in his youth, but was now past his prime and couldn't get over it. Didn't know any other way to live. While all his old buddies that he used to party with got older and settled down, he never got out of the cycle. Kept on partying half the week. Some people can never let the past go.
Poor guy.
Dennis would always sit at the counter and chat with me. I worked there, and it was part of my job to be nice to the customers, so I of course let him. The first few times he talked to me, he seemed really friendly and a nice guy. As time went on though, he became a little more creepy. He started making uncomfortable remarks, and would grab at me inappropriately. I never made a big deal out of it, but made it clear that he couldn't do what he was doing. He always smiled and apologized, vowing to never do anything weird again. He never kept those promises. One night.
It's not funny, but I worked in a nursing home for a while, and we had an old fella like that. He'd grab all the CNA's butts and stuff like that, and like, now you know you can't be doing that. He's like, I know, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. 5 seconds later, walk back down the hallway. Boop. Now what did we say? Forgot.
Night after closing time, I was walking back home by myself. It was dark, and the streets were empty. Plenty of side alleys lined the path that I was walking down. I only lived about 10 minutes away, so I wasn't too unnerved about travelling home alone. As I made my way down the dimly lit streets, I realised I could hear footsteps behind me. I looked over my shoulder, and sure enough, there was Dennis, keeping pace with me, with his hands in his pockets. I picked up my pace, and he picked up his. It was obvious he wasn't just keeping pace with me now. He was actively gaining on me. What his intentions were, I didn't know. I began sprinting down the road, with Dennis hot on my heels. I turned the corner and lucked out. Another passerby. I ran quickly over to them, and Dennis turned down one of the side alleys and disappeared. I told my manager about it the next time I had a shift at the bar.
Right.
Dennis wasn't allowed back in after that. My next-door neighbor, Jim, just so happened to be a police officer. He was a real nice guy, still is, and we sometimes chatted outside our houses when we met each other at the front doors. When I saw him outside his place one day, I happened to mention my new bar job. I ended up telling him all about my creepy customer, Dennis. "Sounds like a loser," Jim said. "You gotta shut guys like that down real quick. Make sure they get the message. Otherwise they might never leave you alone." "Yeah," I told him. "I'm starting to get that now. He really spooked me though."
It's sad but true. Like, some people you cannot be nice to. They just will not let you. And it's like, why are you making me be a dick?
I just didn't want to be rude to customers since I'd just started working at the bar. I really need that job, you know. Well, I'm sure he gets the message now. I'll keep an eye out for you just in case. We said our goodbyes, and I headed back inside my house to enjoy another lonely evening in front of the TV. About 2 weeks went by. I, of course, hadn't seen Dennis at the bar in all that time, seeing how he was banned from entering. I'd just finished a late-night shift, and I'd made it back to my place safe and sound. I went inside, threw on my jammies, and hopped into bed.
Oh shit.
I'd had a couple of drinks while chatting with some customers there, so I drifted off to sleep pretty quickly.
Oh shit.
Next thing I knew, I was awoken by a loud commotion in my hallway, just outside my bedroom. It sounded like fighting. After honing my ears for a moment, I snapped out of my sleepy haze and jumped out of bed. I ran out into the hallway. It was my neighbor, Jim. Underneath him was Dennis. Jim was pinning him down on the floor. "Call the police, now," Jim shouted. I didn't stop to ask questions. I just did as he told me.
Right. What the
You
fuck
see,
was he doing?
Dennis had broken into my home while I was asleep that night.
Oh.
He'd used a quiet, glass-cutting tool on one of my downstairs windows. That's how he'd entered the place. He'd brought a sort of club with him, and a chloroformed rag was found in his pocket.
Oh.
My neighbor Jim just so happened to be awake late that night. He noticed a cream-colored van outside my house which he had never seen before. I never usually have visitors over, especially not that late at night. Remembering the story I'd told him, Jim became suspicious and wanted to make sure everything was okay. He checked the perimeter of my house and found that one of the windows had been breached. He climbed in after Dennis and caught him off guard. Thanks to his training, he was able to overpower Dennis. They searched the van outside my house. In the back was a mattress, along with 4 sets of handcuffs to restrain my limbs. Dennis wanted to drag me out to that van, and he didn't want any kind of screaming or resistance. You can guess his intentions.
That's not a lady killer, bro. That's a rapist. What the fuck? Can't trust people with vans, bro. Probably didn't even have no windows, and if it did, it was probably like that limo tent that you can't see through. Oh my god. Thank God dude was a fucking cop. She'd been screwed, blued, and tattooed.
What I don't like to think about is where he was planning on taking me, or what he planned to do with me once he was finished. In all likelihood, The only reason I'm here to retell this story is because I happen to live next to a policeman, and that I also happen to tell him about Dennis and his van.
Damn. That's crazy. That's freaking crazy. What the fuck is wrong with people? Fuck that. No. That poor lady. She is right. She is lucky she was living next to a cop, and he probably liked her.
When I was just a kid, my mother was driving through the
Looked
middle
out
of
for her.
nowhere, Arkansas. I was in the back seat. Other
Lonely
than
road.
me, she was all alone. She took us down some quiet country road, lined on both sides by tall trees and thick bushes, very far from the nearest town. The type of road where hardly any cars go down. All of a sudden, a man came rushing out from the side of the road.
Is it just me, or did anyone else start breaking out into country road whenever he said country road? It was the same, like, country road, take me home.
Bursting out of the tree line. He looked terrified and ragged, like he was running from something. He ran out in front of my mother's car as it approached, forcing her to slam on the brakes. She could hear him shouting something along the lines of, "Please, help me." He approached the car, with his hands up as if to show that he wasn't a threat. My mother was tempted to get out of the car and ask what was wrong. She looked at me in the back seat.
I mean, I respect the fact that he got out of the car with his hands up, like, why, you know, bruh. But still, he could have a gun shoved down his booty cheeks and pipe, like, in his britches somewhere, a knife hidden up a sleeve. Could be other people in the car ready to jump out and just beat that ass. You don't fucking know. People hiding somewhere?
And
Fuck that.
decided against it. The guy kept getting closer to our vehicle. With this being the middle of nowhere, my mum was a little on edge. She
Ran
honked her
over his
horn
ass.
as if to say, "Don't get any closer." Then she wound down her window just a tad and shouted, "Hey, what's wrong? What's happened to you?" "Please," the guy kept saying. "I just need some help. Can you help me?" What was this guy doing all the way out here by himself with no vehicle anyway? As he continued to approach the car, my mother could sense that something wasn't quite right.
Go with that gut feeling, bro. I'm telling you, like, okay, I know. Everyone says listen to your gut, but literally listen to your gut. Like, everyone has that instinct in them. It goes back to the primal stages of man. I don't mean man just like in men, I mean like of mankind, like back in the day, whenever we was out there beating woolly mammoths in the head with like big old bone clubs and shit. Listen to your gut. Everyone has an instinct, and everyone knows deep down, like, no, this just doesn't feel right for whatever reason. And it might not even be like, oh, I'm going to get seriously hurt or I'm going to die. It could just be, it's just not right. Listen to your gut, people. It's like, no lie. I listen to my gut. If something's going on and I just get that feeling in my gut, like, no, then it's a no. It ain't freaking happening. I ain't dealing with it. I ain't doing it. I ain't going there. I ain't doing that. I ain't singing this. It don't matter what the hell it is. It ain't happening. Ask the old lady. I never ignore my gut feelings. Believe it or not, my gut feelings has kept me personally out of a lot of different shit. So I always listen to my gut 100%.
She took her foot off the brake and slowly started to get us moving again. That's
I would have slammed on that gas and run over his ass. I'm telling you. Boom, boom. Pothole. Look. There was a hole back there. I was just trying to help fill it in.
when 4 other men came darting out of the tree line on both sides of the road.
Fuck that.
They weren't going for the man in front of us. They went straight for our car doors. It was an ambush. They grabbed onto all 4 door handles and pulled. No dice. They were all locked. My mother put her foot on the gas and shunted the guy in front out of the way. Our car knocked him to the ground, and she accelerated down the road, with 2 guys still clutching onto the door handles of our car, trying to pry their way in. The car got too fast for them to keep up with. They gave up and let go. According to my mum, they all
See, I had watched too many movies. I've been pulling like some old school shit. I would like try to run them into something. Boom. By the time we got home, there's still been a hand stuck on the door. Wake up the kids like, hey, just ignore everything. Mommy hit a deer. What kind of fucking deer did you hit, Mom? There's a hand. Don't ask no questions. I told you ignore everything.
stood there in the middle of the road,
Grounded.
watching us as we disappeared into the distance.
No, see, screw that because I don't trust that. Like, I would have ran over him. And I know everyone's like, but why? You got away. Yeah, but how hard is it to find where you're going? They could have, how else did they get out there? There's probably a vehicle there somewhere. Hidden off somewhere. They're going to get your license plate number. They're going to find you. They're going to come there and they're going to kill you in your sleep. You kill them before they kill you. It's a dog eat dog world, and I would have ran over that doggy and all four of his friends.
That's the reason most modern cars have their doors auto-lock when they reach 15 miles an hour, to stop people from rushing your car and forcing their way inside when you're in the middle of nowhere.
Really? That's why? I thought it was like a safety precaution. I mean, I guess that is kind of a safety precaution. I'm sorry, but if someone's going 15 miles an hour, I ain't trying to grab a hold of the fucking car. I don't give a shit. I ain't stupid. My big ass gonna go flying somewhere. Mm-mm. No, sir. Not happening. Not even on my best day.
I'm damn glad my mum's vehicle had that feature. Thank God for car locks.
Right. That's fucked up. I see. It's shit like that that creeps me the fuck out. And I'll tell you what, I'm the type of person I love to help people. It's second nature to me. If see a need, feel a need. You know what I mean? Yes, robots. Love that movie. I watched it 1,000 times. I have kids. Okay. Plus, I am a child. I am a humongous child. I love to help people, and it's stories like this. It makes you second guess helping people. Like, there's been times where I've seen someone on the side of the road. I pulled over, helped them change tires. I mean, I'm down there actually changing tires. They could just bust me in the back of the head and just, that'd be it. And I never really thought about stuff like this then. But the more videos I watch, the more I'm like, I ain't fucking helping shit. I ain't get out of my car. I'm like, I'll call someone for you. Hey, bot. You hear me? Yeah. You stay where the fuck you are. I will run over you. I don't give two fucks. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know. I will call 911. I will have the police come out here and help you with whatever the fuck you need. You come any fucking closer, though, I will have them send an ambulance too to remove my bumper from your booty. Dang. Let's do the time warp again.
For the past 15 years, I've been delivering groceries in Nebraska.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. I fucking love that movie too, bud. I love old school movies. Oh, I had some of my favorite actors that are unfortunately no longer with us. And Meatloaf just died not too long ago, and oh, that broke my heart. Hmm.
A lot of our customers have been using us for a long time, though this story has to do with one household in particular. For the sake of privacy, we'll call them the Wilson family. For almost the entire time I've worked this job, the Wilson family have been using our delivery service. Once, or sometimes twice a week, I'll drop by their place to deliver their groceries. The mama of the house is called Marie. Her husband was called Tex. I ain't sure if that was his real name or not, but that's what he went by.
I wonder if that if anyone that watches this channel, if your actual name is Tex, let me know. I have several questions to ask. Like, is that your actual name? Like on your birth certificate, does it say Tex, whatever the hell, Copenhagen? I don't know. Tex Grizzly Adams. Like, is it, or is it short for something? My question too is, what was your parents eating? Was they snacking on like some kind of Tex-Mex whenever you was conceived or born? Yes, I'm going to be a little bit of an asshole because that's just who I am. I'm not saying it just to make fun of you. Like, really, that is a fucking awesome name. If anyone out there's first name is actually Tex, please leave a message in the comments below. I've got to say hello to you. All right, just do me that solid, okay?
And the guy was a real modern-day cowboy. Wore the whole get-up, and always
Is he originally from Texas? That's Tex from Texas. Yeah.
addressed me as cowboy. Morning, cowboy, he'd say as he saw me coming up his driveway.
That would make my fucking day. Morning, cowboy. Howdy, Tex. How's it going?
Catch you later, cowboy, he'd say.
You too, Tex. Take her easy now, you hear?
As I bid him farewell. He always said this while bringing two of his fingers to his head, like a real cowboy would if he was lifting his hat or something. I always returned the gesture. We bonded over the years, and would sometimes get lost in conversation with each other. Real nice guy, Tex was. Didn't have the healthiest of diets, though. I could tell by his shopping cart. Seemed like the guy was living off bacon, sausage, and steak.
Alright, back when I ate meat, there's there's health problems that do really come with eating that, but that's an amazing diet. Like sausage biscuits, bacon biscuits, sausage biscuit and gravy, bacon biscuit and gravy. Ooh, my mom used to make like homemade biscuits, and she would take bacon after she fried it and put it in the biscuit with some cheese and some scrambled egg, and then she'd roll the biscuit back up and then make the biscuit, and then I had a breakfast sandwich like on the go. I loved it. When I eat, you can ask my old lady. She will tell you right here, right now. It doesn't matter what the hell I'm eating. I will try to make a sandwich out of it. I don't know why. If I'm eating spaghetti, I got two pieces of garlic bread, spaghetti's in between. Same way with lasagna. If I got chicken, I got biscuit. Thanksgiving, I make a slider out of every fucking thing. You got, I'm not kidding. Like, okay, like for Thanksgiving, we are vegan now, so we didn't have like actual turkey. We had these not so turkey cutlets, and I made some chicken bites. You're gonna laugh. Hot broccoli and cauliflower, but it's actually really amazing. You take some this non-chicken seasoning, mix in with your flour, some sea salt, some pepper. You roll it up in your just eggs, which is fake eggs. Roll it up in your flour. You fry it. Tastes okay. It's got a chicken flavor, but I mean, obviously it's not chicken. Those on a roll with some chicken gravy and some mashed potatoes and some stuffing was freaking phenomenal. Best little Thanksgiving slider I've ever had. Just saying.
Sadly, the old man's diet caught up with him in the end, and Tex kicked the bucket 5 years after I started delivering to him. I shed a few tears for the guy the evening I heard the news, and had a drink to his memory.
Right.
Marie kept on ordering from us after that. For 9 or so years, I kept dropping by her place as usual, this time with a smaller haul of groceries than when Tex was still with us. A lot can change over 9 years, let me tell you. I got to watch as their 2 young sons grew up into teenagers, and as their house changed with the times. as Marie sold Tex's beloved motor car, and as her life went on, and she got married to another guy called Phil. Their haul increased up.
Phil? Phil? What kind of shitty name is Phil? You just lost Tex. Tex. You just lost Tex. Now you're gonna hook up with Phil? She downgraded.
After that, as did the number of deliveries I had to make to their house every week. Recently, though, something strange happened when I made one of those deliveries. I came by their house as usual, only to see Tex's old car outside their home, looking just how it had years before, same paint job and everything. Marie must have tracked down the buyer and bought the car back off him. Maybe she was feeling sentimental and wanted to hold on to that piece of Tex after spending so many years without him. Who knows?
Maybe she is regretting getting with the guy with the name Phil. Sorry if I'm offending any Phils out there. But I mean, come on, moving on from Tex. That's badass. Onto something called Phil.
I knocked on the door, and Marie answered. Strange, I thought. Her face seemed distinctly less wrinkled than I remembered. Mrs. Wilson, I said, you're
Botox.
positively glowing.
Pregnant and Botox.
She blushed a little and thanked me, then invited me inside to drop the groceries in the kitchen. Got old Tex's car back, I see, I said to her. She let out a little laugh. Did he tell you he sold it then? That ugly thing will be with us until he kicks the bucket. I was a tad confused by her reply, but brushed it off.
Does she have Alzheimer's? Dementia? Sometimers? I have sometimers. Sometimes I remember shit, sometimes I just don't care.
And put it down to the old woman's brain going a little gaga with years.
See?
Something else seemed a little weird, though. The decor of the house. It was like it had been years ago. Old photos were strung up on the wall of the kids when they were much younger. All of the furniture was like the stuff they used to have in the past. My mind started darting around. Had she dumped Phil? Gone a little doolally or something? Was she trying to relive the old days when she was with Tex? I daren't ask. Didn't want to cause any drama.
I mean, it's
I
fucking
walked into
Tex.
the kitchen to put down the groceries. Sitting at the table, eating their breakfast, were Marie's two sons. But that's the thing. They weren't teenagers. They were just kids again, like how they looked in all the old photos on the wall. Impossible, I thought. They must just be her nephews or something. She was just babysitting some relative's kids. But they looked so identical. They could have been clones of her children from the past. I put down the groceries and immediately made my way to the front door, not stopping to chat with Marie. Something felt off about the house. I didn't like it. I needed some air. Leaving so quickly? She said as I speed walked to the front door. Yes, I managed to spurt out. Sorry, I'm in a rush today. Have a good one, Mrs. Wilson. I reached the front door, which was still open, but something made me stop. I can't describe the feeling, but I knew I had to turn and look over my right shoulder, past it into the living room behind me. I trusted my instinct and turned my head. Sat there in an old, familiar armchair was an old, familiar man. Catch you next time, cowboy, he said to me, raising 2 fingers to his head. A strange feeling came over me. Not fear. Warmth. I'd recognize that face anyway.
We all know that. So they get the brim of it, like, oh, hold on. Yes, yes. Like they get that brim of it and they go, man. Yeah. Yes, yes. I have a cowboy hat. I have 2. I love them. They are my babies.
I gave Tex
Matter
a
of fact,
smile and
it's a
raised
lot
my
like
2
that one.
fingers out of respect. I then walked out the front door and closed it behind me. I looked out onto their driveway. Tex's old car was nowhere to be seen. Nothing seemed out of place or old-fashioned. Everything was as it should be. Back to normal. Back like it was in my time. I continued on with the rest of my deliveries for the day. I've made many deliveries to Marie.
See? Tex. Can't keep a good cowpoke down. I feel. Fuck that feel. Yo, Tex there. Yes, sir. One and only. I have fun. We have fun here. Welcome!
Since then, and nothing else weird has ever happened to me at that house. I decided not to tell her about the incident, fearing that she'd think I was making fun of her or insulting Tex's memory in some way. I've told my wife and friends about it. They all called me crazy, so I'm sharing my story here. Does anyone have any ideas about what this could have been?
Like, okay, I have a few ideas. Like, maybe this, excuse me, the stone tape theory. Maybe everything about that day was exact, was just perfect in every way to where it literally was like it was real. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how the stone tape theory actually works, but I'm pretty sure, like, everything has got to be precise. Like, temperature, everything. And it's almost like stepping back in time to that moment. Like, everything remembers everything. And it's like stepping back into that moment, reliving it exactly the same. Or maybe some like crazy ass fault line shit, like showed him glimpses of the past. Or maybe he walked through a portal. Or maybe they're all demons and, you know, maybe it was all Phil. I blame Phil. Fuck Phil.
I've been racking my head for months now, and still can't think of a rational explanation.
It's fucking Phil's fault.
Did I experience a time warp? A brain spasm? Some sort of glitch in the Matrix? I have no idea. But
Glitch in the Matrix, you say? Red pill or blue pill? You decide.
I was completely lucid. Didn't have anything weird in my system, and saw and heard everything plain as day.
I keep my head shaved for a reason, people. Remember that.
I don't know what to make of all of this, but I will say, Tex, it was good to see you again, cowboy.
Fucking Tex. Aw. Everybody needs a Tex. Even if it is some kind of weird demon.
There's a curse in my family that's persisted for the past 4 generations. To be honest, the thought of it keeps me up at night sometimes, as I know pretty soon it's going to start affecting me too. Back in the day, 2 men went onto native land in Standing Window. Nobody else ever seemed to see it. They figured he'd just lost his mind. He lived the rest of his days as an outcast, disowned by everyone who once loved him. Can't say I feel sorry for the guy after what he did.
Hell no.
Unfortunately, the consequences of his actions have passed down the family line. You see, whenever any male in my family turns 31 years old, and I mean right on their 31st birthday, they all start complaining about seeing the same shadowy creature. They describe it as the black outline of a man, but with no facial or bodily features, just a black void in human form. What they all say it does have are 2 piercing red eyes. No mouth, no nose, no hair,
Fuck them.
Just two red eyes that seemed to stare straight through you. It happened to my granddad, his brothers, my father, and my uncles. They all suffered with visitations. My father still does. Sometimes the figure comes once a week, sometimes multiple times a day. There's no real pattern to the visitations. According to all of them, it just appears out of the blue, at any time, in any place, at any distance. Its horrible red eyes looking right at you. It could be standing in the middle of a crowd, or a...
See, I'm that asshole. I'd be like, bro, take a picture. It'll last longer. Like, I'm sorry, unless it's like actually fucking with me, it's not gonna bother me. I don't care. It can sit there and stare at me all damn day long till its shadow face turns white, pale, green, blue, yellow. It don't fucking matter. Give a shit. I'd be that dumbass. I'd be like, my dude, how's it going, bud? I ain't seen you all week. When did you get back? I ain't kidding. I'm a little fucked up in the head. It's okay though. I have no problems with it.
I don't remember much of what he was like when I was a kid, but my mother tells me he hasn't been the same since he turned 31, back when he started complaining about the shadowy visitor. He's a real quiet guy now. Never says much, and always seems to be on edge. I'm a male. At the time of writing this, I'm 29 years old. My brother is 27. As far as we know, there's nothing we can do to buy ourselves more time. We've chatted to a native elder about the situation. He gave us 2 small charms that he said to keep with us at all times to ward off bad spirits. I hope they keep the thing away from us, or at the very least, buy us a little more time.
Or maybe try to find out what he did, what he took, what was taken from the grave. Hunt it down and return it. Like all them movies that we watch on TV. The Passenger, Georgia.
I'm a teenager who lives in a large town in Georgia, USA. Everyone knows everyone, and you can't go anywhere without seeing someone you know or waving at one of your friends. It's relatively quiet, though occasionally bad things happen, like robberies or hidden runs. We've had a few mishaps happen in the area. Not the best part of Georgia to live, but this incident was by far the scariest thing that's happened here. The day this happened is one nobody will ever forget. I know this sounds cheesy, but it was something that had never happened before, and that I pray never happens again. Anyway, this boy, who we'll call Mike, went to a high school not too far from mine. We had the same friends, but never really knew each other since we went to different schools. He was quiet, nice, made good grades, a good kid.
I'm not gonna lie, I love watching his little things that go on in the background because there's always like little weird shit that happens. Like the little light went whoosh, like right through here. It's just, I don't know. I'm sorry. I get easily distracted. My bad. I don't mean to.
Well, one day, Mike went missing. He didn't show up to school for a few days. When the news finally got around to me, I didn't know what to think. Maybe he'd just gotten lost on his way home, or maybe he stayed over at a friend's house and they went to stay somewhere for whatever reason. Mike's parents put out a missing police report. He was missing for a little over a week. His school and my school were connected by the woods, and they also connected to his neighborhood.
Did you see it?
Some of the other classes spent a few days going out into the woods and looking for him. A few days later, he was finally found. He was found in the passenger seat of a car in the middle of the woods, stabbed brutally several times in the chest and face, with a plastic bag over his head. How he had come to be like this was the act of a pure psychopath.
What the fuck?
A classmate of Mike's, John, was not so great of a kid. Didn't make good grades and wasn't the nicest. John needed his computer fixed, and since Mike was good with that type of thing, he happily agreed to help John out. Mike was to meet John at his house, and then walk back home afterwards. Mike went over, fixed John's computer, and when he had finished, he started making his way back home. John followed him in his car, and John wasn't alone. They captured Mike, stabbed him, suffocated him, and hid the evidence in the woods. John was caught, and so was the other guy. It shook the whole town. Nobody knew that people around here were capable of such horrible things. I know this was short, but believe me, you never know who people really are on the inside.
Hope someone stabs them in the fucking face with a bag over their head. Damn. That's the last one, y'all. I'm sad. Sad. I like this playlist. It was a really good one. Y'all gonna have to go over, check out his channel, give that man some love. Like, I don't know. I like the voice, and the way he tells us just kind of like sitting around a campfire hearing ghost stories. I love it. Next, what I'm wanting to do next from him is folklore, I believe. Folklore and urban legends playlist. I love folklore and urban legends. Like I know it's not like real, but everything gets something from somewhere. Like it might not be real no more, but it started. God, Nick, it started from something. Yeah, it avalanched to something that is just completely unbelievable. But there's always a little bit of truth in something. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Hopefully you guys are excited too. And if you all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please leave a thumbs up. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged things that just make you want to roast some marshmallows over an open fire while hearing ghost stories in your pajamas, watching the stars fly through the sky like little rocket ships, think about subscribing. We'll get you there. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Man, like, I understand, but I've watched videos. I watch videos from several different channels. A lot of fucked up shit happens in Georgia. Like, we have a subscriber down there, and I tell her all the time she needs to move. Like, Anna, move. Really. I don't think it's safe there no more.